Hello, this is a video I just wanted to make to run through all of the materials that I use to finish off my 3D prints. Um, the idea is that I'll be able to link this video into all of the other videos that I create so that I won't have to repeat myself over and over about the materials that I've used. It'll just be like, oh, see this video, look, it's all my stuff. So anyway, I'll start with the paints. This is my paint box. As you can see, it's nothing special. I've got a lot of just these hobby acrylics. They can be quite thick to use, but because they're acrylic, they are water-based, and you just thin them out with water, no big deal. For the kind of metallic effects that I integrate into most of my models, I really like to use these deco art metallics. They can be a bit tricky to use because they need to be shaken up really, really well to reach their full potential. But they're really quite viscous, and their coverage is fantastic. And even though you're paying, like, I don't know, in the UK here, they're between £3 and £4 a bottle, they're totally worth it. I've had these for years and none of them are even half gone yet. As for the other paints, I've gotten them all different places. A lot of Hobbycraft brand, which is one of the main craft stores here. Some of them I just pick up in random kind of shops that you wouldn't even expect to find paints in. Like this, I think I got this at some kind of homeware shop. But hey, it's great paint, and it's kind of my favorite green, to be honest. So yeah, that's my paints. This one as well here, I'd like to talk about very briefly for like effects. It can make some awesome like snow and things, or you can add it to any other kind of paint to get that kind of iridescent shimmer. But it was kind of a lucky find for me because I got it on sale and I had no idea what to do with it, but I do all sorts of things and it's a huge bottle, so hey, that's my paints. So moving on, I'll go to my paintbrushes, I suppose. And oh, they're not coming. Here are my paintbrushes. Well, here's some of my paintbrushes and a toothbrush. And yeah, this toothbrush has never been in anyone's mouth, I promise. It's just a toothbrush that I load up with paint. And you kind of do this after you load it up with paint. And you flick it on there and you get kind of this cool speckle effect. I've used that to make stars and things. These other brushes, it's not really getting in the camera view very well. Some of these I've had since I was like 17 years old. And you can see a lot of them are really quite beat up. And I've got a lot of similar sizes, but they all do different things for me. And like when a brush starts to get too worn out, I'll cut it down and make it into a different shape. It'll just serve a new purpose. Some of these are quite stiff and rigid, some of them are very soft, and they're all useful for different things. But to be honest, if you're just wanting to get started model painting, you can do it with just a few brushes, and then you kind of just figure out what works for you. None of these brushes were very expensive. They're all like from cheap multi-packs of brushes, and the most important thing is that they don't shed bristles, I guess, because bristles shed into your paint can ruin your day. And yeah, so that's my brush collection and my scummy toothbrush. The next thing I'll cover very quickly is my palette. I like to use Pringle lids for palettes because, as you can see, this paint's all dry and it peels right off. And with a little bit of water, I can clean that up. And I can use this over and over again. I used to use plastic plates, but I felt it was really wasteful, and these lovely flexible Pringles lids pop the paint right off, and you don't need a lot of space anyway, so it's perfect. Next, I'll move on to my tools for cleaning up 3D printed models. Unless you have an absolutely splendid printer, you're going to need tools to help you clean it up. Now, the most important things are probably flush cutters. Mine are slightly rusted, and I genuinely have no idea why. But, yeah, flush cutters are really good because they're quite strong and they can get right into little areas and clip off all those little baubles and things. But the next most important thing are diamond files. You can use emery boards and things for sanding or sandpaper if you're like really wanting to make a big job for yourself. But see, for a small model, just like getting rid of those ridges if you don't want to see like the layers and whatever, or just smoothing out an edge where the plastic kind of bubbled over. Most prints, unless they turn into, you know, a giant pile of spaghetti, are salvageable to some degree, and I like to never like throw out a print unless it's absolutely necessary, and these really help me along. And I mean, you can get a pack of these. They're usually sold in packs of like 8 or 10 for probably $5, £3 and change. They're not very expensive, and I find them to be absolutely essential to helping me finish my models. So I've also got a pile of little pliers and things in here. This is mostly for jewelry making, but they can be really helpful for like pulling out little stubborn bits of plastic as well. So the last thing that I'll cover, this is like the model finishing supplies that I like to use, and you'll see them on a lot of my models. I just apply them with white glue. This is just plain white school glue. The thicker the better, definitely. And if it's not thick, you just make yourself a little puddle and leave it out for an hour, and it thickens right up because a lot of the moisture evaporates quite quickly. I also like to sometimes use thick super glue, which I don't have in my bucket right now, but it's extremely useful. I've discovered recently that normal kind of runny super glue and I are not friends at all. We get stuck to things together. Anyway, yeah, so I apply a lot of this fine stuff with tweezers. This clumpy stuff is called clump foliage. I have a pile of orange and I can't even remember why. I think it was to do with my Catan tiles. This really fine powder here, I don't know if you can see it very well. This is actually nail flocking powder, like to make furry designs on fake nails. It's kind of weird in that regard, but it is really quite awesome for modeling because it's just a fine powder. And in green, which I am running low on, in green, there it is. It makes good moss and kind of a base to put the static grass on. I know a lot of people like to just put static grass on its own, but I find that making it up in layers of different heights makes it look a lot more realistic. And speaking of static grass, this is static grass. A lot of people are absolutely fascinated when I make something, I put static grass on it because it looks so real. I'll show you on my hand. This is 2mm static grass, and it's kind of just fluff, little fluffy bits of probably plastic, to be honest. I don't know what it's made of. Anyway, I do have a favorite supplier for this stuff, and I don't know if you can see here, seriousplay.co.uk. I'll put a link in the description of my video for them. They're a UK supplier, and the thing I like most about them is they do small quantities. Like, I don't want a huge bag of this stuff. I'm making tiny models, but some people do want a lot, so there you go. And this stuff here, my camera's falling off my head, which is super. Right. This stuff here is called lichen, and it's a natural product that's been dyed and preserved. It feels kind of rubbery, smells kind of weird, but it makes amazingly like realistic branches and bushes and stuff. I've got some brown and some green. There's a lot of different stuff that I'd like to get more of to play with, but my colors right now are kind of limited. And this is actually just some sand Sand is great to use, and this has got some shells in it. But yeah, literally, I bought a bag of sand, and it's a really useful bag of sand. So there you go. I think that just about covers all of the tools I use. And I guess if you have any questions, you can just ask in the comments section. Bye!